Hi everyone. So in anticipation for our formative this week and our summative next week, I wanted to take a quick minute to review the steps of cellular respiration. So remember, cellular respiration, the purpose of respiration is to take glucose, so in other words, an organic molecule that comes from our food, and turn that glucose into ATP. ATP. And ATP is going to be energy for our cells. So this is the entire point of cellular respiration. There are two ways that eukaryotic cells can make ATP from glucose. There's two different types of respiration. So we can have respiration without oxygen, or we can have respiration with oxygen. If we have oxygen, this is aerobic respiration. And if there is no oxygen, this is called anaerobic respiration. There are two steps in anaerobic respiration. The first step is called glycolysis. And the second step is called fermentation. Both of these steps happen in the cytoplasm. So both of these There are 4 steps in aerobic respiration. We still start with glycolysis. Then next, we have the link reaction. Then the Krebs cycle. And then finally, an electron transport chain, which does something called oxidative phosphorylation. Glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. But these 3 other steps of aerobic respiration, these all happen in the mitochondria. Cellular respiration is an example of a metabolic pathway. And what that means is it's a series of enzymatic reactions. So let's imagine we have A, which is the substrate for a reaction and produces B. In the next reaction, B is the substrate, which produces C. And then C goes on to be the substrate in a final reaction that produces D. So we would say overall that this pathway turned A into D. And that's because B and C were used up. So in other words, we would say that B and C are intermediates. So I'm going to use aerobic respiration as an example. In aerobic respiration, we take glucose, and ultimately, we are going to turn that glucose into ATP. So let's look at this metabolic pathway. Well, in the first step, we take glucose, and we will turn that glucose into pyruvate. This reaction is glycolysis. Then we take that pyruvate and we're going to turn it into something called acetyl-CoA. This reaction is called the link reaction. Then we take acetyl-CoA and we turn it into NADH and FADH2. This reaction is the Krebs cycle. Then we take this NADH and FADH2 and we will use them to make the final product, ATP. This step is the electron transport chain. So overall, you can see we made this pyruvate and then we used it up. We made acetyl-CoA and we used it up. We made NADH and FADH2 and we used it up. And that's why overall, this is our reaction, because all of these things here in pink, all of these things are intermediates. And I should mention that this schematic I made is an oversimplification. Obviously, we're talking about aerobic respiration, which means with oxygen, but I didn't show any oxygen here. The oxygen comes in here. This is where we need oxygen. So there are more steps involved, but this is a really good place to start. If you know what we make in each, or what we need to put in for each step and what comes out, you will be in good shape for our formative on Friday.